You are listening to the Constantly Loved podcast with your host, Destiny Blendon. We have new episodes every Thursday, so be sure to come back and watch more. Thanks for watching. Hello, you guys. It is Destiny, and I am your podcast host for the Constantly Loved podcast. I'm so excited to be filming another episode, and today we are going to be kind of recapping what has happened in 2025 since it is the end of the year. Now, when I am recording this and posting it, it's actually going to be the 1st of January. So that's super exciting because it'll be the beginning of a new year, and I'll kind of get to look back on 2025 and tell you what I expect in 2026. So I think this is going to be a truly interesting and great episode. But before we get into it, I want to show you guys something that one of my friends got me for Christmas, and she gave it to me today as a late Christmas present. She got me this. It's not a Stanley because it's not by Stanley, it's by Elevated Faith, but it's pretty much a Stanley, and it has the fruit of the spirit on it. Guys, I was so excited when I opened it, and it holds lots of water so I can stay hydrated, and I'm just super excited about it, especially since there's running joke where everybody says that I'm the color beige, and she got me beige, not even knowing the joke, and then said that it would probably match a lot of my outfits. So I think it's really funny that she got it, and I'm super grateful for it. I'm also wearing some bracelets that she gave me. One of them says Child of God, and then the other is just kind of blue. So it doesn't really match my outfit, but I thought that they were cute, and they were worth wearing since it's a Christian podcast. With all of that being said, though, I would like to pray, and then we'll get into the actual episode. So yeah, let's get into it. Dear Lord, I pray that you give us everything that we need to reflect on the year that you've already given us, and I hope that you help me to recognize all of the lessons that you've taught me and the things that I've experienced this year, and to have gratuity towards them, Father, instead of any negative feelings towards what's happened this year. I pray that others can use my experiences to learn from them, and I pray that this upcoming year is going to be extremely awesome, and you're going to teach us tons of new things. I pray all of this in your name. Amen. Okay, you guys, so the first thing that I want to talk about are things that I did this year. So it seems just like a typical year, right? I mean, everybody has New Year's that just feel very, very much the same, and it seems like you're just going through the same season, you're doing the same things over and over again. But 2025 was a year of many new things for me. And so along the way, I learned a lot of lessons, but let's first talk about the new things that I took on this year. And I hope that by doing that, you will be slightly encouraged to take on some new things in your new year that's coming up. So the first thing that I did this year that was different from what I did last year was starting a podcast. As you guys can tell, I am still doing that. It's a change for sure. It was very new to me, and I feel like I've already developed and learned a lot of new things throughout the course of the year. My consistency was not the greatest, so that's definitely an area that I can improve in. However, I think starting it was a major goal that I achieved. I started this podcast even without a studio or without everything that would have made it much better, and the quality that it's at now, not that it's perfect, definitely have a lot of room to grow, but the quality that it's at now would not have happened had I not been willing to just go ahead and dive in head first when I didn't have everything. So I truly would like to encourage you to take on new things, even if they seem intimidating, and just try to use them as areas to grow in and new experiences, because I can truly say that I feel like I've learned a lot from doing this podcast, even though it was not a full year consistently. But next year, that is the goal, you guys. So another thing that I took on was becoming a senator. No, I'm not in the government of the United States. However, I am the commuter senator at my college, which means that I get to represent each of the commuters who don't live on campus and drive to school and write bills. And that might seem boring to a lot of people, but it truly piqued my interest and helped me to discover that I actually really enjoy writing bills. And I think that being a politician would be great, simply because I would love to implement new things that I believe in, but also being a voice and even a brain for people who don't typically want to speak for themselves or don't have the ability to be in politics themselves. So being able to do such things, I believe, would really have a positive impact on society, especially since we don't have very many honest politicians, especially who are Christian. So I would like to change the status quo in that area and eventually do that. I think that being a senator at my school has been a great experience for me, and it's not something that I want to stop doing. It's something that it's going to carry into 2026, but ultimately that was something new that I did this year as well. And so if you're questioning being in student government at your school, whether it's a high school, a college, or if you just want to go into politics, I encourage you to do it. Never let anything hold you back, because quite frankly, I feel like God has given you a desire so that you will pursue it. Even if you end up not liking it, the experience that you gain and the knowledge as well, just from doing it, is so worth it. Go ahead and do it. Okay, next, as a part of my job, being a senator, I got to organize a ton of events for the commuters. And I thought that this was a truly great experience, not only because I love organizing events, but it gave me an awesome opportunity to bring people together, to do things that I enjoy, and to truly learn a lot of new skills. Doing this has taught me a lot, and I wouldn't say that it's the first time I've organized an event, but doing it consistently and getting people to show up and figuring out all the minor details and keeping it organized can be difficult at times. So it taught me a lot, and that was a great experience that I got to do this year as well. I made a lot of new friends, a lot of which was through the things that I already mentioned, but I cannot stress enough how important it is to try and make new friends every year. Not because you need to replace your old friends or anything like that, but building a community is such a good thing, and God created us for fellowship. It's a great thing to consider making it a big part of your life. But we'll get into that a little bit more when we talk about the actual lessons I learned. Another thing that I got to do was go on trips with friends. I went to New York City, which was an amazing experience. I have not traveled much in my life. I've moved a lot, but I haven't just traveled for fun. And so it was truly a great experience, especially with it being my first real trip away from my family. Especially, we were gone for 6 days. So it was a really great trip, and I got to learn a lot of new things, especially about public transportation. The subway was interesting, that's all I'm gonna say. But I got to see things like The Starry Night by Vincent van Gogh, and we saw the Rockefeller tree, and there was just so much. And so it was a truly great experience, and it really piqued my interest into traveling more. That was a great experience as well. I learned a ton of new concepts, whether it was through reading, my classes, through talking to people. There was a lot of learning this year, which we're going to get into in a little bit. I got back into reading. So when I was in middle school and even into high school a little bit, I was an avid reader. Like, I was so big into reading. But as my schedule grew busier, it became a lot more difficult for me to consistently continue to read. And although my desire and passion for reading is still there, and I truly feel like I discover so many new things and I enjoy it and I'm excited by it, it was just very difficult to continue reading when my life was consumed by so many other things. I recently decided that I wanted to make it a priority and slow down a bit and make enough time to read. So I've been reading a lot of Christian books, business books, legal books, biographies. Mostly nonfiction is what I read because I leave and I feel like I learned something new. Don't forget, I do have a giveaway going on, which includes multiple books that I've recently read, one of which is Gentle and Lowly, which I'm still reading. So yeah, that's a truly great book. And if you want an opportunity to read it for free, don't forget to click on the link that I'm going to put right in here at this time so that you can go watch that video and do what it says to have an opportunity to win, because that will be going until January 5th. And this is going up on the 1st, so you still have an opportunity to win. So yeah, reading was something that I was able to do this year, which was amazing, and I'm so happy that I was given that opportunity because the Lord put it in my heart. And I also built a healthier lifestyle. Towards the end of high school, I want to say more my senior year than my junior year, but it did start junior year, I consistently began going to the gym. And I really enjoy working out. And at first, my goals were wrong and I was doing it for the wrong reason. But as time has progressed, I realized that I have so much more energy and I just feel healthier and I can make it through my day much easier and I have a better attitude when I am active. So doing active things has become a major part of my lifestyle, whether it's going to the gym, going for walks, going on hikes, really anything that's moving, I truly enjoy. And so throughout the course of this year, I really focused more on what I was eating as well. So I believe that I truly built a healthier lifestyle, including diet, exercise, really even my spiritual life has grown as well as my community. And so overall, I think that my lifestyle has just become a lot healthier. And that's something that I did this year. And that's because I set my mind to it and I prayed about it and I relied on God to give me the strength to do it. So yeah, those are a ton of things that I did throughout 2025. They are truly awesome and I am so happy that I decided to take them on. And the thing is, you can take anything on when you just decide to do it. It might be difficult and you might struggle, but by deciding to do it, you are allowing yourself to gain experience and knowledge and wisdom through these things. And if you end up not enjoying it, there's no reason that you can't stop. Or you might find out that you really do like it and you can continue to do it. So I do encourage you to try new things in the year 2026 because I feel like it's going to be an amazing year. So with all of that being said, and now that you know all the things that I did that were new for 2025, let's dive into some of the lessons that I learned. There's so many great things that I learned as an individual. Like I said before, whether it was through reading, through my classes, through other people in my community, through my quiet time with God, there was just a great deal that I am ready to unload now that I have reflected on the year. The first thing is that the things you do can bring revelation to others. And that seems like such a simple statement, but the truth is your actions can affect others. It's not about your words. It's not about if you talk about God all the time, it's the way that you live. And this year was a year of truly recognizing that my actions and the things that I do can bring new revelations to people. Like people will learn new things from the way that you live. And sometimes it can be as simple as them recognizing kindness or love or that you don't have a judgmental lifestyle. It can be so many things. But the thing is, learning that lesson really helped me to develop a lifestyle that I am proud of and that I want other people to see. Because there has been times where I've been ashamed of my lifestyle and I kind of want to hide it because I don't think that it reflects Christ. And so I think something that we all can learn is that everything that you do can become a reflection of Christ. It can teach people more about something that you're interested in. It has so many different things that it can do. And that's why Christ instructs us to act like he did. And so overall, just remember that the things that you do make a difference not only in your own life, but in others. That was the first lesson I learned this year. The second lesson was living a life of love and kindness reaps great rewards. So I don't want to say that I'm the most kind or the most loving because I wouldn't say that that's true. However, I do prioritize being kind and loving to others because that's how I want to be treated. And so I try to treat other people that way. I want to be a reflection of Christ, like I just said. And I think that the best way to do that is by living in a way that shows his character and his fruits. And since love and kindness are both some of his fruits, I try to implement them into my life in such a strong way that it is evident to everybody that I come in contact with. This isn't always successful, but I do try. And this year, especially around my birthday, I received a lot of encouraging words, whether it was through birthday cards, through comments, through text messages. I felt like there were people consistently telling me that I live in a loving and kind way. And that was so encouraging. And that was reward enough for the way that I live, because it helped me to recognize that people are seeing it. And so I feel successful in the things that I'm aiming for just because other people are recognizing it, but also because when people talked about those things, they didn't just talk about them and stop at how I'm kind and loving. Most of the time, they also incorporated how that reflects God's character. And that is what we are supposed to be living for, you guys. We should be trying to show God's character in everything that we do, because the reason why we are alive is to fulfill a purpose for Christ, which is to glorify Him. And so that reaped, I don't know the right word, you guys, but it gave me such a great reward. And so I encourage you, whether it's a different fruit of the Spirit, whether it's a different part of Christ's character, I just encourage you to choose the specific things that you want to prioritize and implement into your life and aim for them, because I guarantee you that it will reap a reward. It might not feel like it instantly, but eventually you will hear about it and it will be so encouraging. In fact, I want to tell you, I might not know you as an individual, and if I do, I would also like to say this to you, but I see so many people's good qualities, and I know that God is using you in people's lives. I know that He is using your kindness, He is using your love, He is using your joy, He's using your peace, He might be using your forgiveness, He might be using your ability to be empathetic, He might be using your intelligence. He can be using so many different great qualities, attributes, or traits that you have, and I admire that about each and every one of you. I don't know specifically what that trait is, because I'm talking to multiple people, but I know that you are living it out, and I am so very proud of you, and you are so loved by God and by me. So yeah, I learned that living a life of love and kindness reaps great rewards. The next thing that I learned was just because God feels distant does not mean that He is. Now, about, I want to say in February or March, I began to feel very, very distant from God. Not in like a bad way or like a He left me way, but it was just, I did not feel like I was hearing anything from Him. I did not feel any new revelations. And I was sitting there and I was striving to be near to Him. And I felt like He was so far. And in the midst of that moment, what I was feeling was not that I was abandoned. It wasn't that God wasn't good, but the way that I felt was that I wasn't good enough, and that I wasn't prioritizing my relationship with God enough, and that's why I wasn't hearing. But as time has gone by, I've learned that just because God does not feel near to you does not mean that He is far. And I talked about that a little bit in the last episode that I posted called Covenant Type of Love. And in that episode, we were talking so much about how Jesus loves us and we don't want to hurt Him. He doesn't want to hurt us. And He will let us be free because that's what we want. And so it might not feel like He's embracing us or super near to us during certain times, but He is. And the same quote that I consistently hear is that the teacher doesn't talk during the test. So just because you are not hearing God, just because you do not feel like God is close, your relationship is not reliant on those things. God is still near to you. He still loves you. And that was definitely a major lesson that I needed to learn because I was so disappointed in myself. And those emotions, those negative feelings only drive you further away from Him in most cases. And that's typically a lie from the devil telling you that you're not good enough and that you aren't trying hard enough, because he knows that he can typically get to God's people in that way. So don't let those thoughts sink in, because God still loves you. He is still near to you. And most times He is waiting for you to learn something that he's already taught you. He is waiting for you to live it out. He's testing you in some way. There's almost always a reason. So don't let it bother you. Okay, guys? That's all I have to say. The next lesson that I learned was that you aren't a lukewarm Christian just because you mess up. There were so many times this year my life got busy with school, with all the new things that I took on, with my community because I care about my friends. It just got overwhelmingly busy. And in that time, the first thing that I pushed off was reading my Bible, honestly praying, worshiping. So many things that had to do with Christ got put off. And it's not because I didn't love him. And I'm not saying that it's justified to put him off or to ignore doing specific things, because you do have the ability to prioritize specific things, and prioritizing your relationship with Christ should be up there. But I will say that it doesn't make you a lukewarm Christian just because you're living your life and you feel like you're not doing everything in your power to be near to him, because he wants you to think about him. And I never stopped thinking about him. I felt guilty for not reading my Bible, so then I'd go home and I'd open it, but it just didn't feel the same because I felt so guilty. So you are not a lukewarm Christian because you're not reading your Bible as much as you'd like to. You are not a lukewarm Christian because you're not listening to worship music as much as you'd like to. I think as long as you are prioritizing Christ in your life and you can say that he is wholeheartedly your main goal and the thing that you want to surrender to, the thing that you want to focus on, then you are not lukewarm whatsoever. The only thing is, when we begin to sacrifice time reading our Bible, when we begin to sacrifice worshiping, and when we begin to sacrifice praying, which are all things that help to grow our relationship with God, it becomes a lot easier to knock him down on priorities. So you don't have to do those things to make him a priority. However, they are aspects of growing your relationship with him and prioritizing him. So your focus on him is ultimately probably going to go down a few notches just because you're not doing those other things to help you grow and to help you remain consistent in your relationship with Christ. So it is more difficult to prioritize him when you aren't doing those things, but I wouldn't say that they are fully requirements to love Christ. I feel like that was an incorrect statement, not in the way of like it's fully untrue, because you really do need to be prioritizing those things, but God understands when your life is busy. That's really what I mean to say. If you are busy and you're just really struggling, God is going to understand. But I wouldn't put him off just because you want to do a ton of other stuff, because that's not prioritizing Christ. And yeah, you want to prioritize Christ because he's the purpose of your living. So I think that statement made sense. Might have been slightly contradictory. I'm not a perfect human. Okay. The next thing is that your community should be uplifting. Hold on, I need some water. Okay. Your community should be uplifting. And I learned this year, because all that I've cared about in the past was having a community, having friends, having people to talk to. And I've tried to build up a community because I cared so deeply about having people to have fellowship with. But the truth is, you need to have people that you're pouring into. You need to have people who are pouring into you, and you need to have people that are on the same walk as you. And so it is extremely important that you find people who are uplifting to you, because if you don't surround yourself with people who do value you, who do have same values as you, and who truly are chasing God and pursuing him because he's amazing, then you are going to find yourself struggling a lot more than if you just go ahead and find yourself an uplifting community. It helps you in so many ways, honestly, and it's like the Bible says, I think it's in Proverbs, a sweet friendship is refreshing to the soul. Something like that. Something about honey. I don't remember. But I know that good friendships that are focused on Christ are extremely important. And so finding yourself an uplifting community should be something that you are also prioritizing and that you bring into this next year. If you don't already have an uplifting community, I fully encourage you to go out there and find one, even if you are not an extrovert, because finding an uplifting community is going to be one of the most encouraging things that you have in your life. It is going to make you want to keep pursuing the Lord. It is going to make you want to keep living life. Like, it seriously helps so much. I truly think that it is important that you do that. The next thing that I learned was that you can recognize God in everything and everywhere. I mean, it's even as simple as recognizing him in creation. He created everything, so when you look at the trees, you can realize that he created those, and you can see him in that. When you look at the stars, you can see Christ in that. When you look at your friends, you can see Christ in that. Christ is in everything, and he is everywhere, and the more that you focus on him, and the more that you prioritize him in your life, it becomes so much easier to see him everywhere and in everything. And when that happens, there is so much joy and even peace that comes into your life, because it's refreshing to know that God is there and he's in everything. And so you never have to worry about God being far away, because he literally is in every single thing that you look at. Like, this cup has the fruit of the Spirit on it, and that reminds me of Christ. This microphone reminds me of Christ because I'm using it to communicate to you guys about him. And there's just, like, you can look at anything and see Christ when you think about him all the time. It's just amazing. And so I encourage you to keep Christ at such a high point in your priorities list in 2026 that you begin to see him everywhere and in everything, because it truly is the most beautiful thing, and it is so exciting and almost invigorating to live a life that is full of Christ, you guys. The next thing was that there are so many ways to love people, and I'm just now beginning to touch the surface on specific ways that you can love people. Christ is love, and he is such a vast, incredible being. He's a comforter, he's a savior, he's a king, he's a redeemer. Like, there are so many different parts of him that the best way to love somebody is through getting to know Christ, because he is love. So loving people in the way that Christ loves people, or the way that he is the best way to love people. And I am just now skimming the surface of specific ways that you can love people, you guys. There are so many different ways, and it is so amazing, because once you truly begin to discover the different ways that Christ loves and how you can implement them into your life and then incorporate them into how you love others, it's so beautiful. Like, I feel so loved by Christ, and when I try to use those things on other people, I can't imagine how encouraging that can be. So there's so many ways to love people, and the best way to learn about that is by looking into how Christ loves and who he is. Yeah, I'm just touching the surface on that, but I learned a lot about how to love people this year. The next thing that I learned was that leadership becomes difficult when you are struggling yourself. So earlier in the year, I also fell off of making this podcast, and that's because my relationship with God felt like it was struggling. And so when that time arose, it made me feel like I wasn't good enough to lead other people, because I wasn't even good enough in my own relationship. And quite frankly, I do believe that it is extremely difficult to lead others when you're struggling on your own. You are held to a higher standard, and you also can't encourage other people as well when you believe the opposite of what you're saying. So it becomes extremely difficult and in some cases impossible to lead when you are personally struggling. And so something that I learned this year is that there is difficulty in that, but that there are ways to overcome it. And that is always relying on Christ. Now, a part of the reason why I felt like my leadership was struggling is because I felt far from Christ. But that's when I learned that Christ is not far from me. And so between those two lessons this year, I've discovered that your relationship with Christ is always existent. He doesn't leave, which means that my leadership should not end or cut off simply because I'm struggling, because God will give me the strength, He will give me the wisdom, and He will guide me in all of the things that I need to say or that I need to do in my leadership positions to help other people, because He wants the best for me and He wants the best for other people. And the purpose that I am alive is to glorify Him. So if that is my true focus at all times, regardless of how I'm feeling in my own life or about my leadership skills, He is going to use me for His will. Leadership can be difficult when you're struggling, but God can always help you with that. That's another lesson I learned. Next, I learned that it's okay not to understand everything, but you should seek to gain wisdom. So it's really easy, especially I believe in your college years, to be like, oh, I know everything, or like I'm learning everything, or I'm an adult now. And you hear all of these statements like, I'm an adult now, and you're like, okay, great, cool, I'm so mature and I'm so wise. And then you realize you actually know nothing. And quite frankly, I've been humbled. I know absolutely nothing. I have learned quite a bit, and I do seek wisdom, but you are probably never going to know everything. You can live the entire course of your life and still not be an expert on all topics. In fact, you might not ever become an expert on any topic if you don't put enough effort into it. However, Christ does deliver wisdom when you ask for it. So if you are seeking wisdom and you are trying to gain knowledge and you are gaining understanding and experience, you may become an expert in an area. Who knows? But the thing is, I would like you to recognize that it is likely you don't know everything. And it is a good thing that you don't know everything, because that means that you can continuously learn. So you can go out there and you can pray for wisdom, and you can learn things from Christ, and you can learn things from other people, from classes, from everyday life, and it will ultimately help you to grow and shape you as a person. Also another great lesson to learn. The next thing that I learned is that being sad sometimes is okay. And quite frankly, it helps you grow closer to Christ. When you are sad, it allows you to get to know Christ the Comforter. And when you are full of joy, you don't fully get to know Christ as a comforter. It is only in those moments of feeling down that He is able to show Himself in that way. And this year, I wouldn't say I was sad very often, but there were times that I was sad. And Christ showed up for me. He was comforting, and He brought me peace, and He brought me joy and forgiveness. And He brings about so many things when He shows up as the comforter. So being sad at times is okay. Christ is going to teach you new things, and He is going to reveal Himself in those moments if you are focused on Him and if you are asking Him to reveal Himself. So in 2026, remember to keep God at the focus and the center of your mind, because that's how you'll learn a lot of these lessons. The next thing that I learned was that building a community is actually a kind of a lot of work. It requires a lot of effort, but I will say that it is entirely worth it. As an extrovert that I am, I'm still quite frankly tired from building a community. I'm not the only one who took part in building the community, but it requires a lot of effort to introduce yourself to a lot of people, to get to know them, to be joyful all the time, which I'm not joyful all the time, but trying to consistently be joyful, trying to be extra caring, all of those things to make people feel comfortable and loved and seen by somebody, and also show them that they are seen by God, requires a lot of energy. And there are so many days that I came home this year and I was ready to go to bed. I was ready to not talk to anybody. I was ready for just pure rest. And I found the most rest and comfort when I spent time with Jesus. So when you build a community, it is entirely worth it. You have people that you can grow in your relationship with Christ with. You have people that you can talk to, who encourage you, who see you. And it is so worth it. If you are an introvert even, I encourage you to go out there and talk to people, because you will not regret it. I know that you might think that you're going to regret it, but in the end, you're not going to regret it. As long as you're okay with being a little tired sometimes. And at the end of the day, though, I reflect on my community and I am so proud of everybody who is involved in it. I love each and every one of them dearly. And I never stop loving them, even if I feel like I need times to be by myself or to spend in the quiet place with Christ, or honestly, just staying home. I still love everybody. If you take personality profiles like I have, I am 100% extroverted, but guys, I still need recharge time. I go home and I'm just like, great, I don't have to deal with people. I love people. I really, really love people with my whole heart. Everything in me loves people. And sometimes I don't want to go home because I want to be around people. But like that reset and that rest and that comfort that you find in spending with Christ when you are alone, also amazing. So I am just saying, all of the work that is required to go into building a community, entirely worth it. And at the end of the day, if you're tired from building a community, then you can go to Christ and He will renew your strength. So, yeah. The next thing I learned was being content in singleness. I sang that because it's true, and honestly, it's a topic that I've talked about a lot this year, and I've been boy crazy before. Honestly, I've just recently come out of that, like very, very recently. If you talk to anybody that I know, they would say that I was boy crazy. But guys, I've improved, okay? I'm growing. And so I'm content in my singleness. I know that I need to learn specific things about Christ. I know that I am of value, that Christ loves me. And I don't need anybody. Obviously, it would be nice. But I am fully content in my singleness for once, because I feel like I have my own life. I have my own things to do. And I can see the purpose that Christ has for my life being lived out and fulfilled, whether I'm single or not. However, I do hope that I'm not single forever. I could be. I wouldn't prefer to be, but we'll see in God's timing. But yeah, this year I learned to be content in singleness. And then lastly, I learned that trusting God's plan is superior. So never once was my plan better than God's plan. This year, I tested that out multiple times. Do not recommend. It does not work out the way that you think it will. Christ's plan is always better than yours. And the thing is, when you recognize that what He has for you is so good, and He loves you, and He has more for you than you can ever imagine, it is so much easier to trust Him and to know that what He has coming for you in His timing is going to be way better than whatever it is that you might want. And I learned that multiple times. There were a few crash and burns this year, you guys. But it's okay. 2026 is going to be a new season. There's not going to be crash and burns. Obviously, I'm still going to make mistakes, but I am fully relying on Christ. Yeah. Another thing I learned, this is the last one actually. I know I think I said the last one was the last one, but this one is going to be the last one. I learned that Jesus provides. And this is something that I kind of already knew. I've seen it a lot in my life. He has consistently provided for me time after time, whether it was financially, whether it was through a community, whether it was an answer that I needed. He is consistently providing for me. And I saw that again this year. He has not once failed me. And yeah, he's just a great provider. And so if you're struggling with believing that he will provide for your needs, I can tell you that I know he will. It requires faith and trust and obedience, but he provides for his children, okay? And he will provide for you. So that's everything that I learned this year and all the new things that I tried out. But I would like to say that I truly believe 2026 is going to be a year that we can all grow even closer to God. I feel as though my relationship with Christ has grown so much within this last year, and I am so excited to see it grow even more in 2026. It is going to be a year of consistent podcasting, consistent quiet time, consistent worship, and hopefully consistent community. So it is going to be a wonderful year to grow closer to God. And I hope that you guys will join me in that journey and use 2026 in the same way. I also believe that 2026 is going to be a season that I'm stepping into that is almost entirely different from the one that I'm in. I don't know in what way whatsoever. I have no hints. I can't explain why I feel like it's going to be different, but I do feel it. 2026 is going to be a major year. It's going to have some major change, and it's going to be amazing. And you guys are going to be there for that journey. So yeah, honestly, I think that's it for this episode. But I hope that you guys also were able to learn something from my reflections on this year, and that you can implement some of those things, especially the idea of prioritizing Christ in your life throughout 2026. And so I am so excited to continue making these episodes for you guys, and I would love to hear how your 2026 is going as well. You can email me at constantlylovedpodcast@gmail.com, and I will try to respond. So you can always reach out to me if you need anything or want anything, have podcast suggestions, just want to chat. I'm totally open to that. But yeah, with all that being said, you are constantly loved. I truly love you. Christ truly loves you. And I will see you guys next time. Bye!
Father God, let your kingdom come. Sovereign